It is Saturday morning and I'm just on my way to head over to the Fox Philly studio to do a segment on student loans. Look, I gotta get out of here, but why don't you come with me and let's go do some TV.
We've got an expert, Rob Wilson, joining us this morning, and also so for so many people, for the graduates, there's a dose of reality about to set in. Most student loans have a grace period of 6 months, so those who graduated in May are going to be starting to owe some money in just a couple of weeks. So what's the best way to tackle those student loan repayments? We've got an expert, Rob Wilson, joining us this morning, and also our junior reporter, Lexi, who's going to talk about this one as well. So
I was off helping Lexi get her student loans together.
Yeah,
while we were here.
Hi, Lexi.
Right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. And good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys.
All right, student loans becoming well, they're always a problem.
Yes.
But they're becoming due. So what are some of the things we need to be looking out for?
Well, you know what? I just want to put this in some perspective for people, because not only are student loans and education getting more difficult to afford. Look, in 1971, it cost about $2,600 a year to go to Harvard. Now it's about $44,000. So it's much more expensive to go, but it's getting harder to pay back. So incomes are not rising as fast as those tuitions are. So it's a really big situation that a lot of families are worried about.
So what do we do? Start right now. What do we get? All these payments are due. What should we begin with?
So here's the thing. If you're in a situation where you've got a pretty good salary, some good cash flow, first thing you want to think about is refinancing. So what you're going to be able to do is go to a private lender, you know, like Citizens Bank here is one that comes to mind. And what you're going to be able to do is lower your interest rate significantly. A lot of people think that federal loans automatically have the lowest rate. That's not true. So if you're paying 8 or 9%, interest rates are low, you can refinance to a lower rate, get a much lower payment, and you're going to pay much less in money over the life of the loan. So if you got a pretty good salary, first thing you want to do, refinance.
You're sitting here, obviously. Are you concerned about this right now? I mean, I'm assuming you don't have a huge salary because you're still in school.
Absolutely not.
Is this something you worry about?
How much do you owe?
You know, I probably owe $15,000, and I know that, you know, the average student graduating from my school might owe $30,000. And you know, when you go into the workforce and you're making before taxes $30,000, I mean, that's a huge concern. That's a big emotional burden, I think, on a lot of people my age, and a lot of millennials are going to have to consider this now.
She's worried. So you don't have the huge salary. Now what do you do?
Okay, so this is really important. If you do think that you're going to have some difficulty making the repayments, there are a couple of options. The first thing you can do is think about consolidating. Now, I know everyone's heard about that. This in and of itself isn't going to change your interest rate or your payment, but you can group all of those loans into one. So now you have one servicer to negotiate with, and then you're going to become eligible for programs that the federal government offers, like loan forgiveness and income-based repayment plans. Excuse me. So with regards to your payments, there are payments that you can get that are based on your income. So if you think you're going to be having difficulty fitting this into your budget, there are a bunch of different programs that you can apply for. And what it all shakes down to is that the payments are going to be capped at about 10 to 20% of your income. And you can have the loans forgiven after about 20 or 25 years, which brings me to my next point, that there are loan forgiveness programs out there as well. So if you're a public service worker, you work for the government, you're a police officer, fire department, you can have your loans forgiven after 10 years. But this is not only for low-income workers. Even if you're a doctor, the state of Pennsylvania offers $100,000 to public care physicians who work in underserved communities. And even for attorneys, the PA Bar Foundation offers loan forgiveness to people who make less than $66,000. So there are lots of options out there.
I've never heard about that.
I was going to say, you know what I'm getting out of this? Is both of us, we got the short end of the stick.
Well, you have to know about that in advance. And the last thing, now how about, can I defer it? Can I just pay later when I might make some more money?
You can. In extreme circumstances, you can look at deferment or forbearance, which basically means you can cut off all of your payments and your interest for a certain amount of time. But if you go into deferment, the federal government will pay your interest while it's in deferment. If you go into forbearance, they do not pay the interest. It continues to accrue, and it's going to be added to the loan at the end. So that's when you get in trouble. There's no limit to the amount of times that you can go into forbearance, but your amount that you owe is going to explode if you continually do that over and over again.
We got to leave it there. You learned something?
I learned something today.
Nice.
Thank you.
We're
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Thank you very much, and we'll be right back.
Okay guys, so just finished up my segment here at Fox Philly. Even though it's early in the morning on a Saturday, I always enjoy being on with those guys, you know, and I think we put some really good information out there. A lot of people have no idea what they're gonna do with their student loan payments when they kick in. So I think we educated some people, put a lot of good information out there, and hopefully they all learned something today. Hey guys, what's up? All right, just got back from Fox Philly, had a great time doing that segment today, but I did have a couple of other tips that we didn't have enough time to fit into the segment that I absolutely wanted to make sure that I got to you. And the first one is, keep your college days going. Look, just because you have a steady paycheck coming in right now doesn't mean you have to go completely change your lifestyle. You're used to living like a college student, so if you have to, keep that up for a little bit. Continue with the ramen noodles instead of going out and popping bottles with your friends on the weekend, and that way you can be much more aggressive towards paying your loans back. The second thing is, I want you to keep your options open. Look, don't succumb to this pressure where you feel like you need to go out and buy a big car or a nice house simply because you have a degree hanging up on your wall. Look, when you start to amass a lot of obligations like a mortgage and a big car payment, it really severely limits the options that you have available to you, particularly if you want to go back to school and get a graduate degree, or whether you start a business, or whether there's something more significant you want to do in your life. So keep your options open and hold off on those major purchases for a little while. And the last thing is, we talked about a lot of the options that you have in order to deal with your student loan payments, like income-based repayment and forbearance and deferment. And those things can really help you if you're in a bind. But by far, the best way for you to pay off your student loans faster is to have an intense focus on making more money. Now that probably means working harder and smarter so that you accelerate your path at your company. That might mean freelancing on the nights and weekends, or starting a new business. Because look, there's only so much that you can cut from your budget, but your income and your earning potential is theoretically unlimited. And if you do want some training and some ideas on a business that you could start, check out my free Expert Empire training right here. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me with my segment on Fox Philly. We had a great time, and I will see you in the next one.